morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to be working with sensory. And this is a part of science because we get to touch and feel and see different items. So in this bowl, I have some sensory bowls this morning. And I'm going to stick my hand in the bowl. And I'm going to begin to feel the beads. They are wet. They are wet. We also are going to measure these sensory beads in this measuring cup here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get the cup filled to maybe 1/4 or maybe 1/2 so that we can do our measurements as well as we do our sensory beads. It's very important that we learn sensory and to know the difference between wet and dry, how they feel, how they maybe even if they have a smell. Over here, I have 2 sensory bottles that has been filled for the school year. I filled them up maybe around this first of spring. What the bottles do is you take the bottles and you can shake them. And it's also for children that has behaviors as well, because they can take the bottle and they can feel the pressure on their hands and give them a little sense of, just a little sense to make their hands feel like, feel better. I say better. But these are also the sensory bottles right here. Over here in this bowl, I have a bowl of worms. What I did was I took some gummy worms, placed them into some sand. Some of them are gummy worms and some of them are real plastic worms. Also for sensory, you can feel them and you can feel them and see if they're hard, they're soft, and how they feel along with the sand also in here. Also, I have the little gummy worms in here. They are real gummy worms. I'm just going to take a little clothespin, pick up one of the gummy worms out of the dirt. The children also can take these and fill them for sensory. Actually, my children have took these and played with them. I see where on my shelf where they have taken some of the gummy worms and placed them inside the other little items on the shelf. But you can take these gummy worms and you can feel them. You can also smell them because they do have a smell to them. When I purchased them, they smelled like cherries, but these are the sour gummy worms, and you can use them as well for sensory in science. So I'm gonna put that back in there. You can look up underneath the dirt, and there's a spider in there. I think some of my students placed a little spider in here. Let me pick this, if I can get the spider up. I think I can get him with the clothespin. There he is, a little spider that's placed in the sand along with the worms. But we know that spiders and worms don't get along, but that's okay if my students put them in there together for their liking. Okay, so there's a spider in there. So let's get back to the sensories. Let's measure. I'm going to open up this top, take the top off, and I'm going to see how far these sensory beads are going to go into this measuring cup. So I'm going to take the cup and I'm going to sit it on the table. I'm going to take the sensory beads and I'm going to begin to pour. Oh, they are jumpy. They are jumpy. Ooh, they're jumpy. They're jumpy. They're jumpy. They're jumpy. But it's okay if they go places. I can pick them up.
We can help you pick them up.
I can pick them up. I can pick them up.
We can help you pick them all up. And I can help you.
There we go. I don't want to put all of them in there. I just want to see how many I got in here so far by measuring. Let's look. We have half. We have, I don't know, that's 1/5. We still got to go a little bit further. So since they have decided that they want to jump everywhere, let me see if I can use my hands. Place them in there. I think that'll be a whole lot better. Take them out the bowl. Put them in there. Oh, yes, that's better than pouring them. All right. I'm not going to put all of them in there because I want to reach my limit, which is 1/2. 1/2. Oh, and they are wet. They are wet and slimy. So you have to be careful. If you don't want your hands getting wet with these, you can use gloves. We are in a pandemic, but I'm just doing this by myself, so I don't need gloves because I'm not sharing today. So I think I have 1/2 of a cup. I have reached my 1/2 here with the sensory beads. And you know what the coolest thing about these sensory beads are? if I put water in them, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But I think I have enough water in here because I had them in my sand table. So that means that they didn't shrink down. But if you don't keep water in them, they will shrink down. So let me pour them back in. Ooh, they jumpy. They was jumpy everywhere. And these beads are also very good for children with autism, children that has ADHD, children that has behavior issues. These are good for them because once you put your hand in there, they feel so good to the hand. They feel very good for the hand. So this is why I have sensory bottles in the classroom. And you can hear the sound of them. Y'all heard the sound? Yeah. And they're very good for children with behavior issues. And they're very good for the teachers as well. If I'm having a rough day, I can stick my hand in here. Oh, and I can get me such a great feeling. But I promise you that after I finish with these sensory beads, I'm definitely going to need me some lotion because it does keep the hands very wet. And so this is my science for today. The sensory bottles with the sensory beads. Also, I measured my sensory beads, which came up to 1/2 cup. And the children in the classroom can get to do the same thing. They can take the sensory beads from one bowl to the next, and they can measure them. They can even fill the cup all the way up to the top. But I would rather recommend that they take them out like I did with my hand, place them in the bowl because they are very jumpy. Place them in the bowl with their hands, and when they get finished, they get to pour them back into the bowl. And that's my science for today. You guys have a great day.